Cleveland Browns don't have a realistic chance to do much if they don't get their quarterback situation taken care of. Bill Barnwell of ESPN had some things to say. What if we have to start somewhere in fixing Baker Mayfield? Begin with his pocket presence. It was clear that in September that he didn't trust his offensive line or believe that he was going to be able to work through his progressions from a stable pocket. He was too quick in ball laterally to escape the pocket when he didn't see what he wanted and or expected at the end of his drop back. At first hint of pressure, he often tried to escape, and once he did, things really typically didn't go off well. He posted a passer rating of just 44.9 when he threw from out of the pocket in 2009, the second worst mark in football. He wasn't that bad the year before, though. I don't know the exact number, but it seemed that looked to be one of his strengths.
It was one of his strengths, and I think that it will be one of his strengths again this year when Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt have him rolling out and bootlegging and throwing on the run.
Right.
One of the things that we identified in Baker Mayfield as a strength in 2018 is that he could nail it on the run. I mean, that is just beautiful music by him when he can just, use his torque and his agility to throw whatever off his back foot on the move, on the run, and he could put it on the mark. He was able to do that. But he was playing with confidence in 2018. He was playing with swagger in 2018. And he didn't play with any of that in 2019 because he was largely trying to figure things out on his own. When he was going bad mechanically, he didn't really have anybody that was going to help him dig out of that rut. And just from a schematic standpoint, it was a mess. So everything that happened last year, they've already chipped away at, and they're working hard at it. And I think we'll see a much better Baker Mayfield in 2020.
Look how many jobs that costs people in Berea, because if Baker Mayfield becomes Freddie Kitchens becomes the head coach based on what he was able to do with Baker Mayfield, and he couldn't do it, so it all the way down the line from GM to head coach to offensive coordinator, that problem caused a lot of problems and a lot of jobs.
It sure did. And, I was kind of trying to beat the drum a little bit in the second half of 2018 for everyone to kind of temper the enthusiasm a little bit and take a look at the defenses that they were playing. I mean, they played horrible defenses down the stretch in 2018. So I think people got a little too overly excited. Even all the national experts and the pundits, nobody wanted to take a look at the truth. And that was, they beat the Cincinnati Bengals twice, and they had the 32nd ranked defense, I think. They were playing like the 30th defense, the 31st, the 32nd. I mean, they were playing horrible defenses. Then they beat the Panthers when Cam Newton, I've said this before, couldn't hit the ocean from the beach in that game. And, there were just some things that happened down the stretch that lent themselves to everyone kind of overstating Freddie Kitchens and kind of overrating him, overrating Baker's ability a little bit at that time, and just thinking that he had completely 100% arrived and he was ready to take the team to the promised land.
But I think it looks like, however, that the national people are coming to the side of the Browns and Baker Mayfield in this, and just assuming that Stefanski is going to be able to do a job with him. Are they overrating him this year?
Well, you know what? Everybody's saying the same thing. And I've heard a few people say, that's what makes me nervous. Everyone is coming out and saying the same thing. One of the only sort of experts that I've seen that hasn't, completely bought into the whole notion of a complete 180 by Baker Mayfield that was Chris Sims from NBC Sports. And he did he ranked all the quarterbacks in the NFL, and he had Baker at number 21. And he just doesn't seem to be 100% sold on the fact that this is going to all just be, rose petals this year, that there, will be some growing pains and maybe even, a rocky road here and there.
As long as you're throwing numbers around, what if Sims said that number would have been 12 on Baker Mayfield? We'd take that, wouldn't we? With all the other things that they have offensively and defensively?
Yes, I think if he had said 12, I would not have been shocked by that.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people expect Baker Mayfield to be a top 10 quarterback this season. I've talked to a number of people already that really believe that, in part because quarterbacks put up huge numbers in these Kevin Stefanski offenses, the Kyle Shanahan offense. It's the same thing, that West Coast offense with the play action and the wide zone and lots of running and 2 tight ends. It's basically, what Kyle took to the Super Bowl last year and did so well here with Brian Hoyer. So I think people really are expecting that, and it's all set up for that. I actually myself would be surprised if he doesn't have a pretty strong rebound.
I